Downtown Redevelopment Board to order. The first item of business we've got a roll call, and then we have the pledge.
All right. Pete Zahn.
Here.
Cheryl Cook.
Here.
Tibor Benke. Javier Benavente.
Here.
John Camchin.
Here.
So we have a quorum. I'd like to have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Finally getting around to election of officers. So,
I have a question. When are we going to get more people on the board? We used to have 7 or 8, and I'm a I can vote, but I can't do anything, so it's these 3. Do you have any ideas?
The planning board representative has not been appointed yet, and then there's one other seat vacant, actually 2 seats vacant. We need people to apply. We don't have any applications being reviewed, but the planning board rep has not been appointed yet.
Okay, thank you.
so any of you all know somebody that'd make a good board member, ask him to put in an application. At this time, we'll entertain a motion or discussion about a vice chair person. And what are the requirements on these? Do you serve a year and then you have to get off, or does that just apply to the chair?
Yeah, it only applies for chairs. Each member to serve a 1-year term. That's meaning the chair and the vice chair. Each of the chair and the vice chair will serve a 1-year term. No member may serve more than 2 consecutive terms as chair. Vice chair, it isn't limited. Vice chair may be elected to consecutive terms without limitation.
Okay. All righty. So at this point, Cheryl, are you vice chair? There's nobody here.
That's what I said. It's COVID. We're separated all by seats.
Right. But you're our current vice chair, are you? Or you were?
No, you are. Ken was.
Oh, that's right.
I'm with the DDA representative, so
Yeah.
I'm not. I can't. So
Were you vice chair? You were vice chair.
Of the DDA,
Oh, I see.
and I'm their
But you can be
representative on
chair
this
again,
board.
Because
I can be.
Yeah, right.
I can be,
Vice chair?
and if
John,
nominated,
you
I
want
will
vice
serve, but that's next on the agenda.
Sure.
We need a vice chair first.
Oh,
So
John,
we've got
have
2
no interest
options here.
whatsoever. But you'll step up, though, right?
I will if I have to.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So is that a nomination for John as vice chair?
I'll nominate John as vice chair. Thank
Second.
you very much.
Do you accept it?
I will.
Any discussion? All in favor of John as vice chair signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Since everybody voted, you're the new vice chair.
Great.
And as to the chairperson, anybody have any
Move that Pete
recommendations
Zahn
for
be
chair?
chair.
Okay, well, I will accept it. I'll be happy to do it again. It comes in handy to know a little Robert's Rules of Order sometimes. So, I guess I will accept the nomination. Any discussion? All in favor of the nomination signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Yay for me. So at least now we're
Complete.
complete,
Yes.
more or less, since Ken's been gone quite a while. Approval of minutes. Have you all had a chance to review the minutes? Any comments, any revisions, any corrections? And there's another set right there. And we
move for
might have
approval.
do we have to go back a few on minutes because we didn't have a chair or we didn't have a quorum? Might want to check into that and see. And
We should not have adopted minutes at the last meeting since you did not have a quorum.
Okay.
Did they not have a quorum? Did they not have a
In
quorum?
April, we had a quorum. There were
I
4 of
could be
us.
wrong.
But I didn't think we,
Tuesday, April 1, but I know there was a meeting that we didn't have a meeting.
yeah.
was the previous one, March.
Yeah. March?
March.
Okay.
So we only have, on this one, we had approved December 3rd
Bring that forward.
at the April 1st. And at the April 1st now, because Michelle and I went over this, that we didn't have meetings, that we didn't have them. So that's why we only went from December 3rd to April 1st. Is that not correct? Yes. So when we vote on the April 1st minutes, it includes that we had accepted the December 3rd. So we're caught up because we haven't had minutes, sorry. But
Good. I knew there was something quirky in there that wasn't the usual. So, if there's no changes, revisions, corrections, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of April 1st?
so moved.
Here a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. There you go. Next item, 6A, Riverfront Esplanade funding request. Are we going to have a staff report first and then hear from Joe?
No, we don't have a staff report, Mr. Chair. Mr. Yarbrough submitted a request to the city staff, myself, to consider increasing our yearly allotment to the Esplanade. Right now, as the letter read, we contribute $800,000 toward the operational costs for the Esplanade. And so Joe has expressed to us that, cost of operating certainly exceeds the amount that we contribute, and he would like to have a discussion today, or at least a presentation today, so that he could get you all's consideration at some point down the road of increasing that amount at some point. And so,
Is that a redevelopment board decision, or does that ultimately go to city council?
it's redevelopment board, which is the city council.
Okay.
But this board makes a recommendation
Yeah,
to that.
you have the ability to make the recommendation, yes.
Okay, so we hear what's going on, we make recommendation to approve or revise or whatever, and then that moves forward to city commission for ultimate action. Is that correct?
Well, we one step in between that, and that is having a meeting with our city manager. And I know Joe has had a discussion with our city manager about that. So on the staff level, we're going to meet with the city manager based on the discussion today, and thereafter it would be his decision to take it forth to the city commission
Okay.
or CRA board.
Right? Yeah.
Question. In that process, that's when you all will make an analysis and make a recommendation to the council on it? Is that-
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. That's what-
Good point, because there's an allocation that we get every year. And based on the allocation, we have obligations. We make commitments to new development, like the apartment complex. There are some other developments that we've made. We have like 3 or 4 different obligations that we make every year out of our funding that we get, in addition to the Esplanade. So any increases, we have to determine operational costs, in addition to all the other obligations and the loans that we have outstanding. We're not opposed to any requests. We just present the information.
Gotcha. And how does this relate to grants that come in? Because we've gone through several grants in the last meeting. What's the difference? Are these ongoing? Are they just funded in a different way?
Well, like this request from Joe will be a yearly allocation. It would go from 800 to whatever.
Okay.
The grants is a good question. Right now we have $250,000 set aside for grants. I'm not quite sure where we are with that, but I can tell you we got over 15 grants that are outstanding, from $20,000 to $50,000.
Have they been fully executed? And let's say Kale Cafe saw the ad in the paper where they're up and running, and so I would assume that all those improvements are done. The money's been expended because they've got the receipts for it, and that's
Right.
Essentially you close that out.
Yes, that's one particular grant.
Okay.
Then we have, like I said, we have 15. We have Kale Cafe is one. There's a couple more restaurants in the area that we've completed, but we got plenty more.
Okay.
Can that figure be given to us next month of what is left by the time after we vote on them?
Oh
What
yes,
is left in the
yes,
grants of
yes.
the
We can tell
250?
you what we budgeted and what's left from the budget in real time.
Budget and allocated.
And we can also, in addition to that, tell you the applications that were submitted.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That'd be good. I'd like to see all that information next month. And if that happens to be available and we drop by your office, how soon would it be available? 2 weeks, or I mean,
Yeah. Give us a little time because we're you see it right here. This is it.
yeah, gotcha. Okay. Joe, I guess you're up.
Congratulations, John, I think. For the record, my name is Joe Yarborough. I'm the manager of the Riverfront Esplanade. And I'm here for two reasons, really. One is to give you an update on what's going on, where we are. And I hope you're as excited about the Esplanade and the future of Beach Street as I am. I'm here not to ask for a specific amount of money, and it isn't for operations, even though it goes toward operations. I'm here rather for an endorsement out of this body to the city commission, who sits as the redevelopment board, for an appropriation that will be determined by them, and I'm sure staff. Ultimately, it's the board or city commission, the way I read the law, and always has been, that makes the ultimate decision. But they do rely on staff, and they rely on this board. Let me help you out with something that, even though Ken was correct, he'd skipped an important part of our lease agreement. Our lease agreement with the city states that appropriation of $800,000 a year from the redevelopment district will be attributed and paid to the Esplanade for capital investments. Every year, we deed back to the city every bit of our capital. We continue to maintain it. We continue to insure it. We continue to fix it after the hurricanes. We don't qualify for FEMA money or city reimbursement for any hurricane. We do that with the support of the people that built it, and that is Hyatt and C.C. Brown. Okay? No tax dollar. Hyatt and C.C. Brown built $35 million worth of capital. It's now the downtown Riverfront Esplanade. What is also important for you to realize is that that check is cut back to the Brown River from the city, $800,000 every year, to the Brown Riverfront Esplanade Foundation. That is essentially Mr. and Mrs. Brown money out of their left front pocket. They sign that check and give it back under the board's approval for operational expenses. So you're not really, the city isn't really reimbursing us for capital as much as they're paying back the Browns, as much as they are indirectly funding our operational expenses. And our operational expenses, as you can imagine, has increased to a point that we think we have a reasonable request in asking for more monies to be afforded to the capital outlay. That in turn, the Browns signed back over for operational expenses. So what Ken said is correct, but it's indirect. We're not asking for the redevelopment district go on record for the city commission of Daytona Beach to fund any operational expenses. It is for capital reimbursement. To wit, I'm not going to go over this whole letter that I'm glad to see was in your agenda packet.
Can I ask you a quick question? So now I'm reading this with fresh eyes and getting a better picture. So the 800,000 capital reimbursement payment. So that's a reimbursement check to Hyatt and CC.
Well, it really goes to Brown Riverfront Esplanade, of which they're the chair and vice chair.
To the fund or
yes.
the foundation or whatever. And then that check is then signed back over into operation of the park.
Correct.
Okay, so it's not an
CC
$800,000
Brown
grant from the
continue-
city.
Yeah, they continue to pay for all new capital.
It's something that the city, that's an agreement that they would repay capital to that fund to the tune of $800,000 a year, which is then their,
Then
Given
turn around
back
and
in
give it
from
to
it.
operations. Yes.
okay?
Our operational revenue total is about $1.3 million. We raise around $500,000. That's donors, that's events, and it still leaves us a shortfall of about $1.3 million. Who, by the way, is the benefactors of the capital is also our benefactors of operation. Mr. Brown and Ms. Brown sign a check every year and give it to us out of their personal money to meet that shortfall. Operations keep climbing. If you've been in the Esplanade, I think you will agree you won't go through a prettier privately held, publicly open park anywhere. Plants are replaced within 2 days, trees within a week. That is the goal, and that's our marching orders as operational personnel. My job is oversee the capital, oversee the operations, oversee the programs, and try to get the thing solving if I can. It's not easy, and let me tell you why. To date, we've spent over $32 million. We've got a couple of million we're going to be spending. Really over $33 million. That number's a little wrong. We're going to be spending a couple more million this year with the parking lot and getting structurally sound and ready for a restaurant at Josie Rogers' house. It's not a cheap endeavor. Neither one are. And that number's going to go up. To date, after the payments received from the city for capital, there's still $29 million left. It's going to, if the rate we're going, the development district will be dissolved before we get 50% of this paid. The rate to capital in both is increasing, and the way the money is from the city, $800,000, is going toward the reduction of that debt. It's toward that end that we feel like that there's a reasonable reason for the city to want to say, hey, look what they've done. We didn't know it was going to be this nice, or there was a lot of naysayers. Folks, we had 813,000 visitors last year, over 813,000, with an average stay of an hour. That isn't bad. That's not bad for 2 years and a half of operations. Coupled with the fact, and I think this is equally important for you to know if you didn't, is that the Brown & Brown Insurance Company last year formed a wholly owned LLC, or corporation within Brown & Brown. That is Beach Street New Horizons. Last year and up to date this year, there's over 30 parcels been bought out of, within the development district. These parcels are not going to sit in the condition they're in much longer. You're going to see, I think, a major renovations starting to take place next year. These are large parcels, some of them are small parcels, but collectively they offer the opportunity for significant redevelopment. And a lot of them are contiguous to each other, right next to each other, which means they'll probably be raised. So you have Brown, Mr. and Miss Brown here. That's just chairman of the board. Up till now, the Brown and Brown has kind of kept its arm's length, even though they have built an international headquarters. So let me ask you all something. How many S&P 500 companies are there in Volusia County?
Well,
How many are?
maybe-
There's one.
NASCAR?
It right now is employing around 1,000 people downtown within the development district. Okay, how many does Brevard County have? None. How many does Seminole County have? How many does Flagler County have? Right here in Volusia County, in downtown Daytona Beach, we have an S&P 500 company. That S&P 500 company's prominence in downtown sparks more development. It's a different circle, folks, that you have some corporation up north or wherever it is, they don't go flying to the city and say, hey, how about us? They don't go straight to the county and say, hey, what can you do? They start with another S&P 500 company or a company that employs them. Why are you here? The Browns have committed to seeing downtown redeveloped. They're your financial engine. They're the ones driving this. They don't have to ask for this addition to the operational capital cost. As much as they'd like to see that there's a buy-in from the city. There's a recognition from this board that we're doing your job. Can you help us out a little bit? Think about it. Redevelopment is the job that you have been assigned as an advisory board. Their job all the time. You got a financial engine over here that's saying, we can do it, but we'd like to see an acknowledgement from the city of what we're trying to accomplish. And they have a vision, and that vision will be a reality within the next 5 years, at least started. It should be an exciting time for anybody that's involved with the redevelopment of downtown. They are asking not for a specific number out of this board. They're asking simply that you say, we need to do more to offset our capital obligation with the renovation of the Riverfront Park. That's all they're asking for. By comparison, the ballpark, Jackie Robinson Ballpark, wonderful addition. It's not cheap to keep them here. You know how many people, they played every home game here and their seating capacity would be visiting downtown? Couple 100,000. It was packed at every home game. We're doing 813,000 in 2.5 years, and it's all private money. City gives us a little bit to help offset that. It in turn goes back to operations. It's not that it's going to go down if we don't do this. Park's going to be there. Riverfront Esplanade is going to continue to operate, and it's going to continue to operate in excellent standards. Something we're going to continue to be proud of. This is more symbolic of a commitment from the city, giving back some of that we're generating. That's all. Any questions? Okay.
Joe, I do. Maybe you know the answer to this, or Ken. There's a couple numbers in here where Brown and Brown being downtown is impressive tax growth from 97 million to 206 plus million. The New Horizons, that hasn't had a chance to really kick in yet as far as any benefit tax-wise,
Well,
because
yeah,
it would have been on the
quantified.
tax rolls.
It's not a lot because all it is the 27 million in acquisitions, and it's gone up to around 30 million now. This was based on 2024
And
acquisitions.
it won't go up until something goes
Exactly.
up on the property.
Exactly, but all you're seeing is what's paid for it now and what it was on the books for.
Yeah.
That's the
30,000
And now there's
or
a
something.
vision for that property. Before, it was just a bunch of rundown buildings. So, what kind of benefit does CRA or redevelopment funds see from that type of growth? Because, I mean, Brown's right in downtown Daytona, so it's going to have a heavy impact as far as increased taxes, fees. I know it's going to the county. Goes, I don't really know what the distribution of that money is, but what does redevelopment see out of that?
Well, Mr. Chair, any increments that we get in property values and that goes back into the trust fund, it allows us to make a lot of public improvements and provide funding to private investment as it relates to the redevelopment plan. For instance, when you're building a new multifamily complex, there may be an opportunity for us to use some of that CRA money to pay for development costs, to have that multifamily complex in the CRA. Or as we're expanding Beach Street going north, it allows us to have funding to make those public improvements. So we not only just spend money with our CRA dollars on public improvements, we spend it on private investment. We can't keep the money. We have to spend it. So when you have new investments, when you have the Riverfront, like, the investment that Brown & Brown made to improve the park, we believe that's a great thing because people now want to be close to downtown, close to that environment. So, and when you do that, when you have new development, it puts money into our coffer and we put it right back on the street.
Okay. Because I know personally, Patty and I come over and we walk before we go to dinner and then we go walk it off after dinner. And while the park itself isn't the draw, but it's part of it. It's part of the ambiance. And if you want to get over a stressful week, there's plenty of benches you can sit out there and just look across the water and enjoy. And I grew up here. I think you did as well. So I remember the shell paths and the sulfur springs that flowed through the coquina rocks in there, and there was some kind of little building right on the corner, that would have been the northwest corner of Beach and Orange. And I think it was a newspaper stand or something. Mm-hmm. I used to buy candy bars in there, and it was something to do with the blind used to manage it, and I used to wonder how this guy knew what I was giving him. If I was giving him a $1 or a quarter or a nickel or whatever, always got the right change. Always got my candy bar. So it's been around a long time.
I think you all need to recognize one more thing while I'm before you. I'm a retired city manager, as many of you know. I can't forget. My phone rings a lot. There is not another place like another arrangement with the private sector under a lease agreement anywhere that I know in the United States. Just from calls I'm getting. It's totally unique. And it's working. Working because we've got a couple of billionaires behind it, but it's working. And it is a success story in the sense that you feel safe now in the Esplanade. You got over 225 views. What's going on? If we miss something, we catch it afterwards. Tape. Private security, private custodians, private groundsmakers. And why do I tell you this? Because that is what people are enjoying. They feel safe now. Plus, right. The city gets 2 public restrooms. And I didn't realize how important that was until we opened phase 2 and we saw the attendance at our restrooms. There are no public restrooms operated by the city downtown Beach Street. Had to go through a private.
Have to go buy a slice of pizza.
Private business.
Or something.
So we serve another public purpose, okay? Any other questions?
I don't have a question, I just have comments, obviously. Since I'm the only person that's in a business that's right on Beach Street, and I see daily the people that are in that park, I just participated at the Mutt Strut on Saturday, where they raised $150,000. And the band shell, the Humane Society, used to, I think the top was $45,000, and they've gone to $150,000. I spoke to so many people on my team and that others had not been in the Esplanade. We walked. Everybody was like, wow, look at these nice, we even had strollers for many of the animals, and using the little path that is a running path also. The people that were there, everybody's looking around, looking at the trees. We walked down to ISB. We went over to Manatee Island. If you haven't been to Manatee Island and done anything in so long, it was unbelievable. They had so much going on over there. So many people came for this and were like, we had no idea this is here. We had never been in this part of the park. We're going to take after we leave here and walk the rest of the park. We've got on our clothes, we're warm, we're good to go. The number of people that come in our store that we've seen, been over there every day, brand new people that come into our store. Oh my gosh, this is so great in front of you. A 25-year veteran at my store and a team member. No one has ever gone to that park and enjoyed their lunch until this past year because they feel safe. She eats her lunch, she walks over, sits, and just enjoys the outside view and not being harassed by anybody that's trying to panhandle or do anything else, or a skateboard that's coming through if you walk on our beach street. I mean, it's what they have done is just, since I have been here, and our store has been since 47 on Beach Street, is unbelievable. And I just can't imagine. I remember, God rest my soul, Dad talked years and years and years ago after going to Australia, right after he was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And he took this trip and he took all these pictures. He said, why can't we have flowers and a nice park in front of us? We've got this beautiful park that is horrible, but the area was. And then we got the Rose Garden finally with the garden clubs and stuff like that. And I know, and Dad was always like, we got to behind to somebody to get more people downtown and to feel safe and to walk and enjoy and come to the businesses. And that has happened. I see it every single day. And I tell Cece and Hyatt all the time, I thank them because what they have done, they have brought more development into this town. They have brought some of these people that are now building condos and these apartments. They're bringing more people to do it in the downtown because they love downtown so much. Hyatt refused to let Brown & Brown headquarters go to Orlando or where his son was living. He wanted it here in Daytona Beach where they're known for. So I am all in favor of upping, because what all they're going to be doing is also, in the tax benefits, is going to be helping the Downtown Development Authority also for having more people and bringing more people and events downtown. So, thank you, Joe.
Well said.
You're welcome.
We are going to get a figure at some point, right? We're just talking hypothetically from the
I'm
800.
sorry.
We are going to get an actual figure at some point, what you guys are looking for, correct?
Well, we're requesting before the city commission at least 400 this year, and it would grow as the development grows with it.
Okay.
This development is incentivized by downtown, Beach Street, downtown New Horizons.
If I'm pointing out that, if I understood correctly, what you're looking for from the board today is a motion supporting
That's all.
supporting your application or your request before the city council. Is that correct? Yeah. And specifically, that's for reconsideration of the recapitalization amount.
You're right. It'd be increasing the capitalization expenditure.
I'd like to make a comment too, real quick. I fully support what you all are doing, and I also support this request. I am a bit troubled by the mechanism, and I wouldn't say troubled, of tying it directly to the TIF and the property purchases. I think even if Browns didn't buy that property, although I think it's really important that you all did, the Esplanade stands on its own. And I think the value in terms of bringing in those types of investors, I mean, obviously Brown & Brown's investing in it, and the economic development around it justifies it in and of itself. I mean, so
I get what
you know,
you're saying.
yeah.
I understand totally. And I think part of that incentive, the Esplanade incentivized the Browns to take it a step further. I don't think they've ever planned on taking it to the next level, but they sat down as a family and said, you know, it doesn't hurt for us to start getting the excitement going for the commercial sector. That's what, I think it evolved, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, something like that does take
Boardman.
maintenance, and I think what you said when you opened your presentation was that you're working towards a break-even scenario. You know, our Rotary Club comes in and we pay what little fee there is to use it to put up our flags for heroes. I'm sure there are other groups, the mud walk. I mean, so there's people that use it, but it's an amenity. It's difficult to make it an income generator, but if you got the Josie House down there and a restaurant and some place that's going to generate income for the park itself, that's great, helps offset that maintenance cost. But the biggest dollar increase is going to come from those investors that you were talking about that Hyatt happens to rub elbows with, that's going to bring these down and develop those properties. That's what's going to generate
It's going
the
to be the
income.
residual benefit, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's where,
And
that's
then the
what
park
keeps
is
me
just
so
right for the
excited.
rest of us to go over there and enjoy whenever we want to.
Right, and for those that have investments, and all of you do in some form or fashion, for the in the development district, it would make me excited to know that, you know, we stuck our necks out. Maybe our timing was good, or maybe we had to wait it out. But I think there's a true renaissance coming, and I think you're going to enjoy that. And it has, like you said, Cheryl, when he first brought me down, I said, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And I guess I just didn't spend enough time on Beach Street like a lot of you have. Some of you are recently invested in. But it's good news, and I'm not there to say it's going to here to say it's going to happen tomorrow. They're not doing this just to sit on property. They're in the insurance business.
There's a good momentum going in the right direction.
Okay.
So, I guess the motion would be something in the neighborhood of,
If you want to hear
yeah, sure.
it. Draft only.
Mhm.
Motion for Downtown Redevelopment Board to forward a request to the City Council to assess and consider requests from Brown Riverfront Esplanade Foundation for an increase in the city's reimbursement of capital expenditures. You could add the word positively consider.
Okay.
And it says we are a city commission, not the council. So if we don't have a city council, we have a city commission.
Correct.
Okay, so when you write that and
Yes,
if you're
city commission.
going to announce it though, please,
Yeah, and
thank
maybe,
you. Yeah.
and maybe it's the Flagler City Commission we should forward it. They benefit from it too, I'm sure.
And the, in your motion, our motion is to support. I'm not sure what your wording was.
I said to assess and consider, but I said you could also add positively consider or support.
I mean,
It's up
that's
to
it.
you.
You came to ask for our support.
We don't even have to
going
tell them
forward,
to assess
because
it.
we're not going to make the ultimate
To support.
decision anyway.
So to support a request then. Let me read it back then?
Yes, because our secretary's going to need to get the wording right.
Yeah, motion for the Daytona Downtown Redevelopment Board to forward a request to the Daytona Beach City Commission to support a request from the Brown Riverfront Esplanade Foundation for an increase in the city's reimbursement of capital expenditures.
That sounds just right.
If you're making that, I
Mr.
will
Attorney, what do you
second that.
think? Good wording?
Sounds good. I'm looking over here to your liaison, and yeah, I think that's
Okay.
what they.
Do I hear a second for that motion?
I seconded it.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. So you've got the support of the Daytona Downtown Redevelopment Board
Thank you, ma'am.
and gratitude. Public comments. Do we have, I didn't have any, anybody turn in any
We do have,
names?
did you fill out one?
Yes.
To speak? Yes.
Oh, there we go.
And when do we do
Pardon me?
this on the agenda? After? Or this is just for information only? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Elliott Ward.
Yes, sir. I hate that the gentleman left so quickly if he was representing Brown and Brown, because I was kind of curious on, I believe they purchased the, not, if I'm correcting it properly, the Boyer property? Boyer? I'm sorry. Burgoyne. And I was curious exactly what were they planning on doing with those structures? Was it something in redevelopment, or were they going to level it? Exactly what use were they going to make of that property? Have they made any indication to anyone what they planned on doing with it?
Well, yeah, I mean, earlier today, Joe was talking about the parcels that they have bought, and I think he said that they planned on renovating them, redoing them. At least that's my understanding of it. I don't know if you guys...
Are you talking about the Burgoyne properties in downtown Beach Street?
That's correct.
The Brown,
Well, that's an infrastructure that's in place, and it'd be more expensive to destroy and rebuild. It just depends on what would come back in. But do you guys have, I think we saw some pretty extensive plans a few years ago of potential for that area.
Yeah, right now, Mr. Chair, they acquired the properties from the going. They have a site manager who is going around, have already met with all of the leases to determine what their needs and their issues are, and they're helping them to feel more comfortable in the places that they're in. But right now, there is no long-term vision that's been given to us to say what's going to happen with all those properties.
I feel like it's more of a protection than anything else right now, because I'd much rather see it in local hands than somewhere else where they don't have the same ties to the community. It's a great question. I think we're all curious to know what's going to happen, but I don't think there's a vision.
well, I think
for it
also, though, they're not just on the Burgoyne property on ISB.
Right.
They've gone on to ISB, and they've acquired Bill Green's, and they acquired the park that is right there on the corner. They've required 3 or 4 of the other buildings. They've required them on Ridgewood. I mean, we're talking 26 parcels was what originally started, and then that was last year. And then this year they have done 5 or 6 that I know had closed on it about a month or so ago when I did. Their idea also, though, is they like the idea of people, what they're really trying to get also is people living downtown, which we have all my life, people have said we need to have people live downtown. That way we can get a grocery store, then we can have more people closer to coming. And with the Delta West project, which is the old church block, that's going to bring a lot more people over there. But I think the idea of what it used to be in our downtown was, too, that if you had building and your retail down below and people were living up above. And so that is a great part of a plan that we saw long before any of these people and the city staff were on it, that we had looked at years ago with the master plans and things. So, but it's just taking care of it. The Burgoynes were a family in Jacksonville anymore. For the representatives, they really weren't down here helping anybody or really doing anything.
Right. So. And with you speaking of somebody not doing anything, I know the building on Beach Street and the Magnolia that had some hurricane damage.
The Woolworths building has finally had some
Some
major
action.
work being done on the inside with things on that corner.
Is it still owned by the same people, or does someone else come in?
It's still owned by the same owner.
Okay.
Yeah, they're taking it back.
Okay. I guess there was like
The bank does, so right? I thought
They're
the bank took it over.
Private investment firm who owns it out of Miami.
Okay.
And did they acquire it from the people who had it? It was kind of.
They had a mortgage on it. And so they were able to reacquire the property through foreclosure. And so in order to not be in violation of code violations, they have put they're investing in making improvements to it. But they're not going to be the end users. They're still wanting to sell the property.
And that Tom Petty concert last month was I don't know if anybody attended it or not, but that was a really big, spectacular event. They did a real good job. When I first read about it, I didn't know it was going to be real. Okay, I thought it was going to be one of those tribute bands or something like that. And the Cinco de Mayo celebration was pretty nice. There's a lot of people out there. One other thing that the gentleman mentioned was when people coming there, they're only spending an hour in the area. And from my perspective, that's just not enough time. We need to have people there 2-3 hours at least to stay in that area, visit the shops, the restaurants. One thing that concerned me was there's not a lot of activities besides just walking the park, but it seems to be a lack of things for people to do outside of shopping and eating. I know other places, downtown areas, they have activities, entertainment, sometimes not street vendors, but street performers. It's just something to look at. You might want to just do some kind of entertainment thing to make people stay there just a little bit longer, and even bring families. That way they can make purchases, like I say, dine, visit the shops. So something that will keep the people there just a little bit longer. It's something that I think that area needs to have done to it. And over there on Manatee Island, was there ever any talk of having fitness stations at the park to where
That's
people can
a good idea.
come do some running?
There may be fitness
exercise.
stations along
There's a
the
small
path,
one. There's a
too.
small one, and along the path there's
Yeah.
stations, but it's not. Unless you went over there and looked, I don't think you'd see it or find it.
Yeah, I run that area. Time that I see it's just a little small station. Right. But I know other places they have different areas along a path at which people can stop, do different kind of exercises, things like
Good idea.
that. So I didn't know if something like that can be put into the area. Once again, that might be something to keep people in the area for just a little bit longer.
So if I may, you've touched upon a couple of things that, like events. The Downtown Development Authority is involved in events. We don't really get too involved in events, other than hey, we like events. And this one, like the Manatee Island, goes back to the Esplanade. They do that. I'm
There was an
curious,
oyster
though,
festival back there before Manatee Island, before Esplanade had come along. So there's been events out there.
right?
Yeah, the oyster.
Oyster Festival that was there. They've had music festivals. They've got that
We've got an amphitheater.
that amphitheater that's there.
It's still really difficult to have anything there, though, because just that one in and out, no service stuff, so once people start using that bridge, it's like, for anybody that's working, it's really difficult.
Yep.
I don't know if there's any way that we could actually make it more conducive for events where you have like service stuff, people stuff, separate.
And I think I also remember they had outdoor movies in that area once before. Are they planning on doing that this summer at all? Any word on that?
Cinematique did that for quite a while, which is in the block south. And they would put up the big screens in the Esplanade before it was the Esplanade, and people would come to do their chairs. I think when it came to have a larger facility, they can do it now where it used to be in front of like Magnolia in that area, where that is now the gardens and everything else is up in the area, up closer north of Mary McLeod Bethune's in that area up there, her statue. And on Manatee Island and things like that. So they're trying to work, because Manatee Island was a total mess, that had really not, I mean, the homeless were living over there and everything else for so long until they were able to, they took it over with the property, so.
And I thought like right that area where they had the Tom Petty concert, maybe a screen could be put up there because that was able to venue such a large amount of people that might be a good spot to.
Where they had the stage, you could put up the screen.
Yes, sir, exactly. And they might have an opportunity to once again get people down in this area and let them spend some real quality time down there in the downtown area. I didn't know exactly the Tom Petty concert. Who exactly put that on for the city? Was it the city of Daytona Beach or was it Brown and Brown?
It was Al.
Bullseye Marketing.
Bullseye. And
Their schedule will be brought again to the DDA board, which is this Thursday at 3 o'clock down in room 149. And that board is where the money is given to the marketing companies, because that board does not do activities. We have hired Bullseye, and they are doing something every month. Between the first Friday of every month, they have the food trucks, which we just had. They put on the concerts. This coming Friday night, I think, is Victor Wainwright in the park. So that's all Bullseye marketing, and that is now with the Esplanade. But you might get a better idea Thursday at the 3 o'clock meeting downstairs of the different events that are going on when Al is talking about them.
Cinco de Mayo yesterday.
Cinco de Mayo was yesterday. They worked with the K's for the for St. Patrick's Day in March, which the street was closed for like 2 blocks for that time. They just put on a spring art festival downtown. So there's something going on quite a bit in the downtown area.
Bullseye does a lot with
But also, like with the Spring Art Festival, if you drive up Beach Street and you're driving north of International Speedway, you'll still see a lot of the chalk drawings that the kids did on the roads. And that was the whole area that had all the children's art displayed and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Well, that's all I
will tell you, though, that this board would remain very interested in learning more about what those development plans are as well. We're kind of going by public information as well. And I'm just as curious because we're very interested in seeing that.
Yeah, I had saw some property that I was interested in renting over there, but once they took it over, I didn't know if they still were interested in having people there, or, like I said, did they have their own plans for that building? Or that whole
I
section?
bet you they got a real estate agent. You know, so I'd reach out directly to them. They're a commercial company. They might you might find an office, go in an office and see a big plan. For all I know, I haven't gone over and tried to do the research. You know, I don't think they're a secretive. I don't think. I mean.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that way, especially what the gentleman was saying. It seemed like they're as open as they can be. As I said, at this point, he left so quickly. But I'll definitely get in touch with them and see exactly what it is that they have planned, if they don't mind sharing those plans with me. And that's about it. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Any board comments that we haven't already made? Well, anything from you, from your side of the guys? Stand adjourned.